Welcome to the Management Advantage. Y'all, it's hard to believe it's time to start off our 5th season. Typically we're talking about deer management on our first show, but this year we're going to try something a little bit different. I went on my first pheasant hunt this year near Wagner, South Dakota. And believe me, it was one of the best hunting trips I've ever been on. The property we visited had done an extensive amount of habitat manipulation, and pheasants were everywhere. And to top it off, we were able to hunt with Ward Burton and talk about his wildlife foundation. So right after this break, we'll come back on a pheasant hunt with Ward Burton up in Wagner, South Dakota.
Mega Outdoors presents The Management Advantage, gaining the advantage through proper land management, with your host, Chuck Sykes, who is dedicated to sound wildlife management practices and principles that will help both sportsmen and landowners get the optimal potential from their land. This season, the Management Advantage is brought to you by BASF, Sportsman's Choice Record Rack Feeds, Great Day Incorporated, Tecumate Wildlife Systems, Do All Outdoors, Wild Wing Hunts and Outdoor Expeditions, MegaOutdoorProperty.com, Kershaw Knives, Innovative Web Creations, Quality Deer Management Association, and the Management Advantage Consulting Services.
Rooster! Attaboy!
It had a little life in him. Look at him. See, he crawled away. That's why that wasn't right there. Nice bird, but see how smart those birds are and wily. I mean, that looked like a dead bird when we shot it, and yet it crawled away. And if you wouldn't have had dogs, you'd have never found it.
That's an older bird there. Look at this bird.
Oh yeah, he's a good old bird.
He's a good old bird. We just planted about 26 acres of warm feeding grasses, and so it's great to be able to come and walk through yours and see what the end result's going to be.
Now there's a little better look at the Indian grass top. So it grows nice and tall, and comparing it. Now there's the little blue here. Here's little blue.
Okay.
See the difference?
Yes, sir.
It's a little more clumpier, a little different top to it, and etc. A little shorter than that big blue. In years when we get better moisture, that big blue's up about this high in here. Head! Way good practice there, good job. Way to get a feel for it. Come up, Doug. Come on up on that outside a little bit. Head!
Do the roosters, I see you got a lot more hens than roosters, but do the few roosters take care of the breeding needs of all these hens?
And Ward, first of all, we've already shot 200 and some birds off here. If you get down to it in a wild setting, typically there's 70% roosters. Head. And in a set, we didn't have a good hatch this year.
So it's normally that much different.
Right.
Okay.
Well, but in a sense, you'll normally have early in the season, you have more roosters because you get 70% roosters versus hens that are during that when they hatch. So that's why you can harvest the roosters without hurt the population.
Roosters say.
Okay, there's a dead bird. I think we've gone by this. There's a dead bird in here, Hannah.
Hey, you got that baby.
All right.
Yeah, we got it. What do you think of that? Woo! Get a good picture. That's their first.
Ward, it's been a couple of years since we did a show with you and the foundation. Why don't you bring us up to speed on what all's been going on?
Well, Chuck, what we've really been working on is creating new partners and getting our project going in Virginia more sound in the way of managing the property. We're doing a lot of forestry management as well as wildlife management. We're working really hard to get in as many federal programs as available, whether it's forest legacy, WRP, you name it, so that when we start bringing landowners to this model pilot project, we can actually introduce them to what's available to them, whether it's federal, state.
Well, most people don't
system.
understand it. I mean, we did a show a couple of years ago on cost share, and the response we got was tremendous. People had no idea that that money was out there for them to access. So, I mean, what you're doing is going to shed a lot of light for people.
Well, and that's what we feel like is real important, because there's a lot of people that own land that really do care about their land as much as you and I care about ours. But you have to have a stewardship plan. And what Jeff is going to show you on what he's doing here today in South Dakota on his land through Dan is the same type of plan that we got.
Right.
And ACF, Association of Consulting Foresters, drew up a great forestry plan for us as well as a wildlife management plan. But you have to start yesterday to be able to get to tomorrow.
Right.
You can't just do it all in a year. You have to need, in our case, a 10 to 12-year plan. And it's important because we all can be better stewards, and nobody ever learned it in a year.
That's
it's a
exactly
lifetime
right. And what a lot of people, they think, I've been out in the woods, I've been farming, I've been hunting all my life, I know what to do. Well, that may be true in some cases, but what you did with the consulting foresters, what Jeff is doing with Dan, hiring a qualified consultant, yeah, it may cost you a little money up front, but in the long run, it's going to save you a lot of time and headache, and it's going to save you money because they may know some tricks of the trade that you don't know about. Well, I appreciate you letting us come up, and anything we can do to help you with the foundation, all you got to do is let us know.
Well, I thank you for coming, and I tell you somebody else I really need to thank is Blue Ox and Jay Hesse and them. They actually sponsored this hunt. It's a charity hunt for the Ward Burton Wildlife Foundation. Well, we're going to also write a check to Pheasants Forever because we appreciate what they're doing and feel like that it's our responsibility to give back, not just come shoot some pheasants and leave. So it all worked, and I'm looking forward to working with you some more in the future.
Well, let's go see if we can't get a couple more birds before
Okay,
you got to
let's
get
do
on the
it.
plane.
Let's do it.
Good shot. Good shot.
That's a young bird. That's just your bird. I can remember back when there was some division between what we should do to make more pheasants, and there was a group that said, well, we got to get those predators. They're too tough on the birds. And then there was a group that said, well, you got to replant some. You got to raise some and put them out. And that didn't work too good either because, well, first of all, trying to eliminate the predators is very expensive.
And it's hard, too.
Yeah, very difficult. And the second one, of course, was that the quality of bird was just not the same, and they had a lot of disease and all that kind of good stuff. And the third group was habitat. Well, we still got three groups, but they're all
working together.
Habitat. Yep. Yeah, it's all habitat now.
I got it. Here comes one.
Hey, Rooster!
Good shot. I got it.
Forestry Facts, brought to you by BASF.
Welcome to the Forestry Facts segment. Y'all, it's February. It's time to start thinking about fertilizing your mast-producing trees, whether it be apple trees, pear trees, or a chestnut oak like I'm standing by now. Just before that spring green up is the time to go in and apply your fertilizer. You can do it in a couple of different ways. You could take a granular fertilizer and sprinkle it around the drip line, or you can take tree spikes and stake them in around the drip line. Now, the reason you want to focus on the drip line is that's where the majority of your feeder roots are that can absorb those nutrients and get it to your tree to help not only increase the mass that's on it, but also make it taste better. And y'all, when we're speaking about the drip line of a tree, if you can imagine standing under that tree and someone pouring a bucket of water over it, where the water is going to fall off that tree at the outermost branch, that's your drip line. Now y'all, you may not believe it, but if you fertilize this one tree right here in this forest, 9 times out of 10 during bow season, deer are going to come feed under this tree first before they go to other trees. You can increase the quality of your hunting experience and also increase the quality of the mast that's out there for your animals. Now we're going to shift gears over the next couple of weeks and we're going to take a look at controlling invasive exotic plant species.
How did you get started with this project out here?
Well, basically what happened is my dad and I had hunted around South Dakota our whole lives. And we did it all through relationships, you know. We didn't really pay them, but we'd meet farmers and we'd bring them stuff, you know, the gifts, and we'd have them to Sioux Falls and eat, and just became good friends with them. And so what happened is and you know, like wildlife, they move around, and the good pheasant hunting has moved around. So what was a relationship one time, maybe a number of years later, we had to move someplace, and did it all through that. And then in time, the out-of-state hunters that kind of came to South Dakota started to make it a much more of a pay deal. And we just looked at that as something we didn't want to do, and so we started looking for land. And so 6 years ago, we finally bought this first 440 acres and started with that. And the guy that we bought it from had some of the basic stuff done, like these switch grasses out here, some of the trees that had started to plant. So he had the basic beginning of it. And so then we've added somewhere over about 600 more acres that we're just slowly adding all of these developments. And, you know, we planted about 25,000 trees now over the last 6 years in addition to what was already here. Probably about a couple hundred to 300 acres worth of CRP. And so, you know, it's just a continuous process.
When you're talking about food plots, when we hear food plots down south, we're thinking of wheat, clover, winter food plots. Your food plots up here are actually corn or grain sorghum that you leave standing just for the winter time.
Yep, because again, you know, there is crop land all over, so they have a lot of feed during the year type of thing. But they need that as the winter gets cold, they need the energy of corn and sorghum and those type of things. And so if you have a winter without much snow, they can just pick it off the ground. It's all over the place. But then you get the snow on top of it, and then sometimes we get that snow on top of it, and then it melts a little bit, and then it freezes, and they have a hard time getting to it. And that's where the food plots are just so valuable, because then they have a spot where they can get at the corn and the sorghum, and it really helps them survive those tough winters.
So the things that you're really having to look forward to getting proper pheasant habitat out here, you've got to do brood rearing and nesting habitat, which is your switchgrass, little blue stem, big blue stem, Indian grass, these fields that are in CRP that you're converting back to the native grasslands. Right. All right. Then you're planting the shelter belts for protection during the winter, and you're putting the food plots in during the winter. So you're taking care of them all year with the switchgrass, the food plots, and the shelter belts.
Yeah, it's all of those ingredients that make it work. And if you got down to it, and I forget the exact number, but I saw one time Pheasants Forever put out a perfect 40 acre, and you ought to have like 30 acres and 40 acres in nesting cover.
Sure.
That's number one. Then you can have, you know, like 5 acres of trees and, you know, 3 acres of food plot and 2 acres of loafing cover or whatever. But that is the ratio you're shooting for. And that's why when you hunted this main place here, we have a lot of nesting cover around here, plus supplemented by the trees as well as the switchgrass. And the interesting thing is now you see, like when we were over on the 240, you saw the big blue, the little blue, the switchgrass all together. And these switchgrass pieces that are out here, those are not really good nesting cover. It's too dense. It's wonderful winter cover, wonderful hunting cover, but wouldn't be good nesting. So you don't want to do that anymore. And so even in the programs now, they don't allow you to do a one species grass like that. But it sure holds the birds nice in the winter.
There's a ton of birds in there.
There's a ton of birds in there, and they're there all the time. They really love it. It's just the protection, not only from the winter, from the raptors, and they can move around in there, and so they really like that.
Well, from what I've seen so far, you've got an excellent place, and you are proving that if you work with the right people and you've got the vision to do it. I mean, Dan went through a lot of time and effort on this map right here. Y'all got everything laid out perfectly.
Yep.
Then with the government cost share, with you and your father's desire to do it, with Dan's expertise in his field helping you, it's come together into an outstanding place.
It's really worked for all of us. It's worked for the wildlife, which is the ultimate. Like I say, the fruits of the labor come out when you have the kind of hunting we have.
Oh, definitely. And speaking of that, I'm about ready to go back out there. So, let's go.
Right.
Property of the Week, brought to you by MegaOutdoorProperty.com.
Welcome to the newest segment on the Management Advantage. For years, the viewers have watched our consulting company make improvements on properties all over the country, and many of you have requested information on where to purchase such properties. We've teamed up with MegaOutdoorProperty.com to bring you an available recreational property each week, so get your pen and paper ready to jot down all the information on this featured property. The first property is found 30 miles from Fayetteville, Arkansas. It is a 690-acre farm located in the Dry Creek area of the Ozark Mountains. This property has many qualities that make it appealing to the outdoor enthusiast. It is a mixture of open pasture land, mixed pine and hardwood stands, pure stands of hardwoods, and many openings that are perfect for planting wildlife food plots. In addition, this property also has 4 spring-fed ponds, water frontage on Dry Creek, and many ATV trails. The rolling topography and habitat diversity make this a wonderful opportunity. Remember to write down the contact information at the end of the show and join us again next week for another featured Mega Outdoor property. You know, there comes a time in most of our lives where we want to own a piece of God's great outdoors. But where do you go to find that perfect piece of property? MegaOutdoorProperty.com. This site will assist you in finding a realtor to guide you through the search process, a local lender to help you obtain financing, and even a land management company to help bring your dreams into reality. So go to MegaOutdoorProperty.com and let their team of professionals help you find that little piece of heaven you've been looking for.
The Management Advantage Consulting Services is a full-service consulting firm comprised of land management consultants from many areas of the management spectrum. Imagine forestry professionals, a fisheries biologist, a wildlife biologist, and a food plot specialist working synergistically to provide you with complete management plans. Allow us to help bring your land management visions into reality.
Hi, I'm Chuck Sykes with the Management Advantage. And y'all, each week we're flooded with emails from our viewers concerning specific tips and techniques that we feature. We've combined our 2004 TV series into a 2-DVD set that you land managers can use as a quick reference. And it doesn't matter whether you've got 10 acres or 10,000 acres. This is useful information. So go to our website, themanagementadvantage.com, to order your DVD and to check out all the other Management Advantage items. Golly, man, that brings back memories of younger days in Alabama right there. That one would have been toast. You can see that these shelter belts work for pheasants and deer. Here come a bunch of pheasants. Here goes a hen.
Get him, get him, get him, get him, get him, get him.
Get him, Alan, get him. Rooster! When we think of food plots back in the South, we think of a winter food plot being grain, wheat, and clover. I got this rooster out of what they're considering a winter food plot. Grain, sorghum, and corn that they leave for the winter in case of heavy snow. There were so many birds in this little quarter-acre patch. There was tons of them getting up on the lower end. Skinner was focused in on them, and we had a rooster and 2 hens get up that went by me, and when I swung, he was on those other birds down there. But out of this little quarter-acre patch, there was probably 30 pheasants in here, so that just shows you that these, what they're calling winter food plots, man, they're just doing a tremendous job. Y'all, I don't see how a first pheasant hunt could have gone any better than what I experienced with Jeff and his family on their property. The amount of work they've done to improve the quality of the habitat around there is astounding. It just goes to show you that with determination and a proper management plan, you can achieve your goals. If you want to find out more information on Ward Burton's Wildlife Foundation, we're going to give you all of his information at the end of the show. Pheasant management is just one more way that we're helping you gain the advantage through proper management. We'll see you next week right here on the Management Advantage.
The Management Advantage, presented by Mega Outdoors, was brought to you by BASF, Sportsman's Choice Record Rack Feeds, Great Day Incorporated, Tecumate Wildlife Systems, Do All Outdoors, Wild Wing Hunts and Outdoor Expeditions, MegaOutdoorProperty.com, Kershaw Knives, Innovative Web Creations, Quality Deer Management Association, and the Management Advantage Consulting Services.
There's a place I go, tucked back in the pines, where a green field grows, my own little paradise. I'm thankful for this land and the life that it provides. See, the measure of a man is what he leaves behind. Oh, take what you need and pass it on down. Oh, give a little back to this sacred ground. You're on sacred